Hi, and welcome everyone to Ethereal Encounters Unveiled. Today we are broadcasting live on the United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network, 105.3 on the Gulf Coast and 107.7 FM in beautiful New Orleans. Hello, everyone. I see we have some people in the chat already. That is so awesome. Love to see you guys. So again, welcome to Ethereal Encounters Unveiled. And as you just heard, we are broadcasting live on the United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network. So welcome everyone. And thank you so much for joining us today. You can pop in a chat on any social media platform that you see us streaming on. And of course, leave questions and comments. We love hearing from you. We love seeing and feeling your presence as well. So today I am so excited because we're exploring a subject that sits at the crossroads of spirituality and consciousness and the mystery of the cosmos all in once. The idea that a cosmic contact and humanity's potential connection with extraterrestrial intelligence is just mind-blowing. Our guest today, and we've had him on the show before, and I'm so blessed to call him a friend and to have him back again, Jiulio Consiglio. He's an author, a researcher, and an experiencer who has spent years sharing his personal encounters, spiritual insights, and documented UFO recordings, which you guys, you have to go on his social media and watch them. I try to grab them almost daily when I can, and they are so amazing and inspiring. Through his work, he invites us to consider whether contact is not just an external event in the sky, but an inner transformation that challenges how we understand reality, awareness, and our place in the universe. In this discussion, we're going to dive into the deeper meaning behind extraterrestrial communication, the role of consciousness in encounters, and how individuals can approach these experiences with both curiosity and discernment. So please join me in welcoming Jiulio.
Carol Ann, thank you so much for those kind words. I'm so happy to be here again, and thank you for having me on.
Oh, it's a blessing, truly a blessing. And of course, you'll see me say hello. People are popping in, and I love to say hello to people. Hello, Francis. Always a joy. Herb, Hillbilly Herb. The name, it just, I have to laugh every time I say it. Always a blessing to see you, dear friend. And oh, of course, we have Michelle. Always a blessing as well to see you guys. And as people pop in, of course, we will say hello to them. So I'm going to leave the link to our last interview in the description on all social media platforms so you folks can catch up. If you haven't had the pleasure and the honor of listening to Jiulio, whether it's on his platform or ours, he's been on Michelle's show. We absolutely adore him. Give us a little bit of background first before we dig in to today's topic, which I'm thrilled about, and I want to get your banner up. And of course, you can reach him at JiulioConsiglio.com. And again, all the links, everything in the description, so you'll be able to find him easily. So give us some of your background, Jiulio. And of course, I've been reading your books, mind-blowing. I just read Open Your Third Eye, incredible. You've got Cosmic Contact. If you want to hold them up and show folks if you have them nearby.
Sure. There's Open Your Third Eye.
Yeah, I love the cover of that.
Thank
too.
You.
Brilliant book.
And there's Cosmic Contact.
Cosmic Contact. Must read. It's a must. You guys, seriously, you'll be rereading it twice and maybe 3 times. So give us some of your background aside from being what I read in the intro.
Absolutely. So my background, I grew up in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, and my sort of path or my road to third eye activation was laid with some pretty profound suffering. So I had some pretty intense wake-up calls that, and I tried the conventional route to sort of find relief, but there wasn't any. So in the fall of 2005, in between patients, I was working in a dental office. I was a dental hygienist for many years. Had a patient cancel, and I experienced a profound shift where I audibly heard a voice come up through my chest that said, "Challenge your thoughts." And
Wow.
that activation was the beginning of the unfolding of consciousness within me, and miracles. I'm talking spontaneous healing,
Wow.
reunion consciously with the soul, the stillness. And I've had paranormal events happen before that, but I experienced them even after. But when you have an awareness of what's really taking place, there's really no fear, so you can understand it. Fast
Mm.
forward to 2020, and that's where I begin to experience the phenomena.
So right around the time of the pandemic, basically.
Exactly right. I was
Yeah.
finishing up writing "Opening Your Third Eye," and I thought, you know what, I'm going to go hang out with my neighbors. And shortly after.
Heidi Starsis. I have to say hello.
Hello there. Hi there.
Do you think the pandemic had anything to do with the acceleration of that, or was it just a coincidence?
I think that accelerated many things for many people, sort of that things aren't really as they seem, and that just sort of accelerated things. It also, it's funny because I've had this conversation with other people and friends. I've said, when they sort of forced you to go in, that was actually your opportunity to
Yes,
go within and reconnect, make that reconnection. So what's happening in
absolutely.
the outside world from one perspective is out of our control, and it's a reminder to just go within, because that's the only thing you can control is your response or your reaction.
Mm. Yeah, there was definitely a dimensional shift during that year. I mean, we've had them before, but that year was really, it was a kicker.
That was the kickoff. Yeah.
It was. It truly was. So the Third Eye book you wrote during the pandemic or before, or was it a mix of both?
I was wrapping it up right as it started, so I was finishing writing it, and I think it was in the editing process as they locked us down. I remember still being, I think it was in Detroit, 2019, at the car show with a friend, and hearing we need to head back soon, and I thought that was interesting. So yeah.
Mm. Well, as I mentioned, your contact videos that you post, I mostly see them, I think, on Facebook. I think I mostly see them there when I try to pop into social media, but I'm sure you have them on your website as well, right?
I have links to the social media.
You have links to
Yeah,
them,
because
yeah.
it's a lot of data.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They're incredible. I mean, I've seen people videotape many, many times orbs, and then we have Chris Bledsoe, who kind of brought the whole orb phenomenon to the surface, basically. Um, Yours are mind blowing because they seem to be on command, where you're talking to them directly. They're intuitively connected to you, and they respond. So, and it can't just be a one-off anomaly. It's definitely a real thing that's happening because you do it again and again and again.
I think it's best if I don't tiptoe too much about it, but um, my first encounter with this black triangle, so it was October 8th, the first two initial sightings, so about a week after that. And I was in the backyard with two neighbors, my two neighbors that I mainly hang out with, and I got the vibrational hit to move about 10 or 12 feet. And then coming
Mm,
over the townhouse was a black silent triangle, and I locked eyes on it with four gray pads. My one neighbor thought, "Is that a flock of geese?" And I, in a very sort of stern voice, I said, "Focus, guys." And we stood there for about 10 seconds, watched it cruise on by about 200 feet above us, silent. And with that sort of opened the door, but it was sort of a remembering taking place. This black triangle, the first thing I'll mention is when I first saw it as a very 3D craft, that's only a temporary avatar. These objects transform. and I can go into that later in depth. But it's the main object that interacts with me. It's the one that photobombs many of my encounters, and that responds by powering up. It's absolutely astounding.
Do they have lights like the typical ones that we see? Do they have onboard lights or some type of mechanism that you can see them more clearly, or
That's a
what do
great
they look like? Do you have
that's
a
a
picture?
that's a great question. So the first night when it appeared, there were no lights on it. What I will say is, just from my downloads and channeling as well, they are, number one, the very light that they emit. When Triangle in the following year appeared again as a very 3D craft, and my neighbor Matt saw it with me, that was one light at the tip, actually. And it was
Mm.
about 400 feet coming over. I actually felt it coming from behind before I ever spotted it. And Matt saw it. James didn't. But minutes later, it transformed into what I describe as these orb-like structures. And James was not upset, but he was like, he was like, oh, I missed that sighting. But minutes later, he spotted all these orbs. And I said, that's Triangle. It appeared like 100 orbs in the size of like a giant eraser over our
Wow.
backyard. So what I will say too is the phenomena is so advanced, it's had to break up its potential and capability in like different encounters to explain this is what I can do.
Could we give the folks a treat and take them to your website and maybe show them one or two videos? Would you be okay with that?
Can we actually go to social media, because it's social media would be so
Absolutely.
Instagram would be, or TikTok, whatever's
All right, we'll
easier.
go to Instagram.
Sure.
Okay, let me just get this set up. So, when was the last time you saw had contact with them? Was it last
Um,
night? Like,
Maybe 2 nights ago. It was a clear sky. I will see the objects come in when it's a little bit overcast, but pretty much I'm gonna say, if it's clear out there, at least five evenings a week. There's
wow,
10,
so it is
10,
that frequent.
10, 15, 20 interactions at the minimum now.
Has anybody reached out to you from any organization, MUFON, somewhere, somebody like, has Chris Bledsoe reached out to you? Like, what's that been like?
He hasn't. I think one or two MUFON investigators are now following me on Twitter. And I tagged him in the one close encounter I had with Triangle flying in a V formation as 5 orbs. So he's probably aware of me. But other than that, it seems from my perspective, I'm sort of flying under the radar. So time will
Is
tell.
that the way you want it? Or
I'm not trying to hide anything. Like I've been sharing these encounters pretty much right from the beginning, and I'm very, uh, I'm sort of guided as I share on what they can do and what they are relative to us. It's sort of like an organic disclosure in that sense. But I think it's important that I mention this at least once every encounter, and I've had well over 2,000, has been
jeez.
peaceful, uplifting,
Yeah.
uh, funny at times. So yeah, there's never been anything untoward.
So you've never had any, because, and I was going to ask you about this. A lot of folks say that some of these orbs are demonic and they're tricksters pretending to be angelic. What are your thoughts on that whole thing?
That's a great question. From my level of awareness, so I'm continuously operating through inner stillness or silent mind. So I'm connected consciously with the unified field always. So my discernment is heightened, and I'm observing these. I think it's important to mention too. So as I'm observing these too, I'm not creating any beliefs, but everything, the energy that I experience, there's been nothing offsetting, because I've experienced darkness. I've experienced it. That was a catalyst, to my awakening. I've
Yeah.
experienced it after the shift, late night encounters, when I lived in a haunted house. So being able to discern and feel. So the energy, when they're especially about to manifest and beginning to manifest, and I'm getting multiple objects powering up, there's a palpable high vibration field taking place. And it's I've actually sort of related it, you know, even as profound, if not more so than even my third eye activation. It's that
Wow.
high vibrating. Yeah.
So you would immediately feel if there was something not holy or good in the connection, correct?
Absolutely. And even some of these very interesting encounters. I remember one night I said to my neighbors, "Hey guys, there's a lot of activity here." All of a sudden, a massive orb appeared in front of me on camera, came in and went 90 degrees straight up. When I took a screenshot and looked at that orb, you obviously it's very clear. It's a gray, but it was neutral. There was nothing negative about it.
Nothing nefarious going on there, huh?
Nothing nefarious. No.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Yeah.
All right, so let me get your Instagram on stage here.
Sure.
And I would love for the folks, because they have to go see these. Okay, so you tell me, is there a particular one that you want to start with, or should I just start here?
Let's go to the one on the right there. Yeah, no, go far left. Go left. That right there. That's the first time I captured triangle in its energetic form as 5 orbs in a close encounter.
Oh, I saw this one.
Yeah.
This is crazy.
These are the objects that I've been experiencing.
So I've been witnessing it in different configurations, as a pyramid shape with about 9 or 10 orbs, as 2, as 5.
These are the objects.
And this was my first capture, May 9th, 2022, with the black triangle.
Oh, look at the clarity of that.
Yeah.
I've seen that. I mean, every time I'm just
these
gobsmacked
are the objects that
at
I've been
it.
experiencing.
I still find it, my human side still finds it like incredibly,
Yeah.
it's incredible. The one left to that is, so what happens with triangle, a few months after the sighting started, I started experiencing spontaneous flashes. It took me a little bit of time to realize what was the source, and it's triangle. So in this encounter, it was very late, July 31st, summer, and I had a spontaneous flash. And in this encounter, I say, "Can you power up again?" So
Look at that one.
if you want to play
This
that
one,
one,
right?
yeah, it responds at
Just
15
had
seconds.
a very large 2-second flash take place in this part of the sky. Can you do that again? Can you go bright again? Can you flash again?
Look at that.
You.
There's the power ups. So I've
Just
recorded
had a
since
very large
a couple of hundred
2-second
of these
flash
encounters alone.
They
take
interact
place
with
in
you
this part of the
clearly in
sky.
every
Can you
one.
do that again?
Yeah.
Can you go bright again? Can you flash
That's
again?
nuts.
Thank you.
It's so amazing.
There's one I posted recently. If you can go just to the right, actually, that's the one where triangle photobomb. So back up where you were, just to the left one. Just go left one.
This one?
That one's pretty profound.
Hey guys, got an object coming out of the northwest. Just gonna expand the phone.
And you do this all on your phone?
This took just a few minutes this evening.
My Samsung.
Wow. I don't think I saw this one.
You'll notice the object brightens as I mention it.
There's a second object, and it just sort of powered up.
Watch this.
And I suspect that one is the transforming triangle.
Look at that.
It typically does that. Wow, that was an excellent power up. Yeah, that one is sort of its calling card. That's incredible. So the triangle is headed southeast, while this other object is heading southwest. That's incredible. Hey guys, got an object coming out of the north.
Clearly they're not satellites. Clearly they're not balloons or, you know, whatever. I mean, they're craft.
Yeah.
I mean,
I recently posted, it's almost beyond contact now. It's an integration of energy that's taking place. There are times, and I've posted them. It's winter last month. It was very cold. I go to the back window and triangle is powering up. So they see through walls. they're operating through the unified field. So although it appears I'm looking at something, let's say that's local, like up in the sky, it's non-local as well, just as we are. Actually, we're multidimensional. So but for them, it's like it's directly experienced. It's quite incredible.
So they can communicate with you anywhere, any time of day. I mean, you and I were kind of talking about that a little bit before. You can just think a communication to them, correct?
It's just going inward. So there's a unifying factor between them and us, and it's universal consciousness, or the dimension of inner stillness.
Yes,
So,
Benno. Hi. Sorry, we're live today.
hi there.
Hi.
So that's the unifying factor, and that's where communication is instant through vibration, through, you hear the subtleness of them. So it's through that unified field of stillness. So that's where we're headed as a collective, shifting into that 5D consciousness, which is just heart-centered. You're operating through fearlessness and inner peace. And that's why they're waiting for more humans to sort of come into that before we start seeing real mass sightings.
So many questions, good Lord. I find it endearing to know that there are people that are able to communicate with these beings, because for me, I find it, and we were talking about this too. It's a challenge. I mean, I've seen lights, but not like what you see.
Yeah.
I mean, where do you think they're from in the galaxy? They must tell, do they communicate with you in sentences and tell you where they're from? And do you have like deep communication with them? Or is it just this type of communication where you could say power up, like what's it like talking to these beings?
Oh, so shortly after the sighting started, I began asking who, what, why. Like I always knew they existed, and before I could finish, it happens the exact same way. This is the best way I can describe it. Hi there. In my automatic writing. So my automatic writing, there's no thought taking place. It's basically you're connected to the high self, and it's writing through you as you. It's the same sort of communication. So when I began asking, they describe themselves as the collective. And
Through automatic writing?
Through automatic writing. And so
Okay.
I was having a question and answer when I was writing Cosmic Contact, and I was asking them, so why are you here? What's the purpose of this and all this? So they're multidimensional. So, we as human beings, we see things as sort of distant or far galaxy, but to them, there is no distance. So they're, from one point of view, you could say almost always present. So they're local and non-local in that sense, but they've described themselves as the collective. So a group of consciousness that have been showing up. And it's more, since I wrote Cosmic Contact, like I was experiencing triangles, orbs, spontaneous flashes, Merkabahs. Now it's, I've recorded tic tacs, more tic tacs, and cylinder shaped objects. That one's a fairly new one from about 6 months ago that looked like 3 squares connected. So as time progresses, or as time moves on in that sense, things are accelerating, and the revealing is gonna be continuing. But the deep insights, like why are they revealing themselves now, is because humanity is going through a collective shift in consciousness. So awakening reveals 2 things. It reveals who you are beyond the thinking mind, and then where you really are. And we're in the spiritual realm. We never left, really.
I love in your book how you have in Cosmic Contact, you have an awareness exercise in there, and you kind of guide folks through communication with them or self-awareness so that you can communicate. Like, how does that work?
That's a great question. So the best way to sort of anchor yourself into expanded or greater awareness or connect with their field, it's simply, number one, becoming aware. Number one, really becoming conscious of your thoughts, the thinking mind. The next thing is, as you bring that awareness inward, start becoming aware of the space or nothingness between the thoughts. That's the silence. That's the stillness. So I often say in my writings, what you become aware of is what you give life to. It's what
Mhm.
expands. So the minute you really become aware that inner stillness, that transcendent state is already within you, there's already within all of us a 5D self-realizing, actualized, enlightened being. It's already present. And now it's just becoming aware of that and allowing that sort of just to sort of come to the forefront. A great little technique to doing that. Plants are master meditators. They're
Mm.
masters of stillness. So spending 5-10 minutes a day just being with a plant and being aware of the silence, just the nothingness, can potentially reflect that within one. And all things are possible.
I love that you mentioned that about plants. I have a bunch of plants and I always try to talk to them every day. And when I see one struggling, I try to like talk to it and say, sweet, nice things.
Yeah.
And it's so important because even when you're watering them, there's like a connection. You're so spot on with that. There's a definite connection. And I've read that plants know when their owner is approaching the home, like if you're out shopping, they perk up before you get like your dog knows when you're so plants, we shouldn't take them so lightly. I mean, even if I have to throw out a plant that's not making it, I like grieve a little bit, because it's a living thing. It's it's weird, but it's true. So you talk a lot about universal meditation in cosmic contact. How important is meditation in connecting to these ETs? Do we have to meditate? Is it that important? Like, or is it just stillness and finding quiet time to be grateful good enough? Like, how does that work?
I love this question because so many have made meditation this very sort of daunting thing.
Mhm.
I just give some brief little examples. If you're at home reading a book and you're just in the moment, that's a meditation. If you're washing dishes and you're really aware that you're in that moment and you feel the water on your hands, that's a
Yes.
meditation. So, what you really want to do is, if you want to go out there and have a potential sighting, is approach it through non-attachment. Just be in the moment. There might be obviously there may be some excitement there. That's more than fine, but you want to just be sort of in a fearless state in that sense where it's sort of matching their vibrational frequency. So if one has been practicing meditation and they can quiet their mind, that's wonderful because that
Mhm.
just adds to the clarity where because oftentimes I'm spotting these objects, they're virtually not detectable. And sometimes I'll even say, can you power up? Then out of the darkness you have this object powering up. But just approach it and just be in the moment, be very lighthearted about it. That those are the keys. They're more sort of, it's not that it's sort of like gears on a bike or gears. If we're turning at only a certain speed, we're not going to really mesh with them. They're vibrating very high. But if coming in with like this non-attachment, this openness, heart-centeredness, um, that can potentially lead one to have an encounter.
I love that.
Yeah,
Yeah, we have some folks here saying very wise things. Washing dishes, it is. It's a great
yeah,
meditation. Yeah, Hillbilly says, or Herb says, at my lowest, the only thing getting me out of bed was knowing I had to water my plants. I mean,
yeah,
that is so spot on.
yeah,
Let's see what Gary said. I have an experiment showing a plant hooked to an to an EKG. The plant's energy spiked on the
yeah,
screen
yeah.
like it was panicked when a person showed up with scissors. Oh my. So
It's
it was
very
able
true.
to know the intention. Oh my
It's
goodness,
very true.
Gary.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
I-
Oh
if
my
if you
goodness.
become if you become aware, there are moments now where you'll notice trees actually waving to you. It's going to sound a little crazy, but
Oh, I've seen that. I've
I've
seen that.
seen it. There have been times when you're driving, there's really no wind, and all of a sudden you got all these trees waving. Everything is consciousness. Everything is sort of sentient in that sense. There's an awareness. So
Yeah.
yeah, they're master meditators of stillness, and yeah.
You know, you said these are grays, correct? Are these grays that
Uh,
you're seeing, or is it a mix of? different entities?
Grays are only one little aspect. These are angelic. These are high vibrating extraterrestrials. These ships, so the black triangle, that's alive. This ship is alive. It transforms.
Yeah.
It is the one experience that I'll sort of to unfold this or unpack this. It was May 2021, just after, a few months after the sighting started. We were all on our respective porches. Matt notices lights dancing in a cloud. It was dusk, about 6:30, maybe quarter to
Mhm.
7. So I come down the steps, I look, I see it. James sees it as well. And we're like, wow, that was wild. We're now in the middle of the backyard. There's no fencing. I'm facing the driveway. Triangle, 5 minutes later, comes in very holographic. And I go, Triangle, it's here. Turn around. It literally went over the neighbor's backyard, and before our eyes, all three of us saw us vanish, gone, like just vanish.
Mhm.
James is having a religious experience. I'm elated. I'm like, this is incredible. A few minutes go by. We're in our respective sort of stances again. Again, I'm facing the driveway. Now, if you think of a triangle, cut it top to bottom. You got 2 pieces. Now
Mhm.
go horizontal, 4. Now you got 4
Mhm.
pieces. It came in more holographic, coming together, moving apart, showing to me I was the lights in the clouds. Now I can do this. So
Wow.
the pieces were quickly coming together. These objects transform. Same trajectory, and then again before our eyes, vanish, gone. And thankfully, I had 2 other neighbors with me who saw this.
Are they coming and going through portals, or is it just dimensional shifts, like quantum dimensional
Oh, that's a
shifts?
great question. They are the very portals themselves. So all they do is raise their vibrational frequency. Although it
Wow.
appears they're vanished, oh, they're still there. They're still there. There are times when I'll engage or interact even with the sky, and I got these energy manifestations that are just incredible. Um, we were not alone, and we've never been alone. So they've
Yeah.
been guiding us, offering inspiration from one point of view. So we're multidimensional beings.
Mhm.
We're multidimensional beings. And so our soul is more vast than we can even begin to imagine. And there are other versions of us living these other lives, including what we think as extraterrestrials.
So are we on different, like, dimensional timelines all existing in
Yes.
each, so that's true then?
That's beautifully put. That's beautifully put. That you nailed it. So we're as human beings, we're sort of conditioned to believe time is linear when it's not. It's all happening in this one miracle that
Right.
is now. When you really grasp that, you realize the miracle, the unlimited nature of consciousness, source, or
Mhm.
God, whatever you want to use, and it's all unfolding now. So the now, number one, is key to tapping into inner stillness. It's also key to tapping into the phenomena and anything on the other side. So all we've done is we've sort of projected a portion of our awareness or consciousness into this 3D reality so we could temporarily experience separation from each other, from source. So when you realize that, and as you begin to awaken, you start to realize there's a lot more to you than just this physical body. Consciousness has no limits.
Oh gosh, that's so true.
Yeah.
Mm, so where are they coming from? Are they coming from planets, different galaxies, or just everywhere, everything all at once, like the movie? I mean,
No,
is it?
no, that's a great question. So they're coming from other dimensions. They're coming from if you want to say other galaxies. Again, I sort of go back to there really ultimately is no distance, because everything and anything I've realized that's on the other side is non-local, and they know what's in our hearts, they know what's in our thoughts. So from one point of view, you know they're multidimensional, so they're in other dimensions, sort of like even if we talk about Sasquatch, they see
Mhm.
all of a sudden there's a footprint and then there's nothing else. Where did it
Exactly.
go? All it did was raise its vibrational frequency and went into another one. The best sort of analogy is like a TV, the old-fashioned TVs, right, when you're
Yeah.
turning the dials. So
Yeah.
all of those, let's say 180, 200 channels are going on at once, but depending on what you focus on, so we're very focused on this 3D reality, as human beings, and that's what we get. And the more you sort of expand and go beyond, think out of the box, then the more you start to experience your multidimensional self and what else is in there, what is entailed.
Will there come a time, and is it in the near future, where the disclosure is going to be, hey, we're not going to involve the governments of the globe. We're just going to appear to everyone in the sky, and this is us? Or are they worried about humanity and the effects that might have on some people?
I love this question. It's happening on different fronts. So the first thing I'll say is, like, governments are trying their hand at disclosure. You recently heard one former president mention it, and then the sitting presidents, say that he shouldn't have mentioned that. So they're trying their hand, and it's a very limited one, because unless you are operating through stillness and have that insight into who and truly what they are. So there are a lot of people like Chris Bledsoe that are sort of, disclosures happening like that. It's organically happening. And what I love about this is, depending whatever topic we're talking about, whether someone has transcended their personal suffering or someone is now experiencing these ships, it creates that, oh, so that's possible for me. So that's possible for someone else.
Absolutely.
So it's almost like a candle being lit. And then, there's that possibility for more and more candles. It is going to get to the point that there will be a mass encounter. I don't want to limit them, but my sense is, I almost want to say sooner rather than later, because things are so accelerating in the backyard here. But it's going to be happening. It's going to be happening. And I think sooner rather than later. And it's mainly going to be direct contact, from citizens, what you say is ordinary people, because waiting for disclosure, and I've said this before, from those who've really kept it from the masses, is sort of like waiting for someone to give you enlightenment. You'll be waiting forever.
Oh, that's so well said. Oh my goodness.
Thank you.
You're so spot on. The governments just ignore the people.
Yeah.
You can get a video of a UFO, like, landing and a gray coming out, and they'll go, oh, that's fake. That's AI. They just ignore it. Like, they just ignore us.
Yeah.
And that's so frustrating. You've got people using psionics, which is telepathically communicating with these. They're proving that this is true through that, what's it called, Skywalker program. That the whistleblower, what was his name? Anybody? That was
Pete? I want to say Pete.
No, I think it was Jake something.
Jake Barber. Yes,
Jake Barber. Yes, he started this program called Skywatcher or Skywalker, something like that. And they've got a team of military dudes that are very well trained in this type of thing, and they're using psionics to prove that. And supposedly they're working with the government. I don't know. As soon as you mention the word government, I'm out. I'm out. Yeah, I'm just out. Go ahead.
What I would add is, ultimately, the if you want to say the best disclosure is one's own direct experiences. Again, it's important to mention, as I'm observing these objects, I'm just observing. I'm not creating beliefs about them. I'm letting the environment speak to me energetically, and I'm observing. So it's important to not believe anything. Even the Buddha said that. And what that just means is, if something resonates with you, let's say a practice, and it helps you to relieve suffering, use it. But don't. Enlightenment is a destructive process, and even interacting with them, it's a very non-attached sort of experience. I simply know, oftentimes I'll be here watching a show or something, I'll get the vibrational hit. It's time to go outside.
Where do you feel that? Do you feel it in your spine? Is it a whole body thing?
I love that question. It's an instant knowing. You just know. It's just like an instant. It's a vibrational hit that same like where to sort of look in the sky. I'm directed or guided, and I'll turn around and I'll have an object power up or powering down. and that's just a reflection of their playfulness. Yeah.
I love that. You know, and I was talking to you before about how frustrating it is for folks like myself and millions of others that are trying. You know, you go outside and
Yeah.
you're trying everything. You're trying to be detached. You're trying to be
Yeah.
attached. Like you're trying everything. And I think what we were just saying before that like the trying, it's like, you know, in the quantum theory, the observation actually like changes the effect because you're observing it.
Yeah.
So you have to like not want it, right? But it's
Yeah.
so hard to do because you
Yeah.
go outside and you're like, please show yourself. Like you know, it's this wanting, I guess, maybe that gets in the way. You tell me.
So yeah, us talking about that. So I would just make the shift from number one, wanting to surrender, just letting go. And that's a practice. I'm not going to say it's going to be easy first time around. And as long as you come from a space also, this is important. I never believed that they existed. I knew they existed.
Mm.
I just knew that, you know, did I necessarily think they'd come show up in my backyard? No. But when I look at how I've been operating, and even the paranormal things that I've experienced, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Human beings are going to realize as we step, you know, I don't even want to say stepping into new earth. New earth is here and now, but new human beings are going to realize as we continue to ascend in consciousness, there is a lot more to us than one can even begin to imagine. So you have to really get out of the body. When I say get out of the mind, I mean start becoming aware of the thinking mind and realize that you're the vastness. That's just a temporary identity that we take on. Once you sort of recognize that, because basically whatever field you're operating from, it depends on your identity. So if we completely identify with the thinking mind, that's what limits us. Nothing wrong with it. That's the human experience. But as you become more of an observer to thought and an observer to negative thinking, you begin to sort of shift out of that and into the vastness of consciousness where they are waiting for us to connect with them. It's funny because when we were chatting, I sort of put my intention and they instantly said she has a good heart. That was instant while we were on break when you had taken a quick break. So
That makes me want to cry.
yeah. So it's very gentle, it's very soft, and it's total knowing. So it will happen. This sounds cliche, but divine timing. It
Right.
will unfold whenever, and it's true. Whenever whatever we're trying to manifest, whether trying to manifest abundance or anything, the minute we say I'm trying or I'm waiting for this to happen, you've just shifted
Absolutely.
regardless what the topic is, in a waiting state. So you collapse time, you collapse that gap, that by just letting go and trusting that it's done. And now you can actually enjoy the journey rather than waiting for something to fulfill us. We've all gone through this process. So you know, you can get to the point where yes, you look out your kitchen window and you have an object powering up. Yeah.
It just blows me away the way you phrase things. In your book, and again, you have a sightings protocol, and I love that. You say approach, and you just reiterated that. So you say approach the possibility of a sighting with the spirit of non-attachment. Now that is brilliant, right? So you try to disconnect yourself as best you can, just knowing that they're there.
Yeah.
So it's the knowing, right? That they're there and believing that, Jiulio?
No, knowing shifts you. I can't emphasize this enough. Every thought and emotion literally shifts us into another timeline. And the key is to be consistent in what you're choosing. So knowing that they're there and knowing that communication is possible, and again, you know, approaching it sort of lighthearted, sort of non-attached. These are energetic enlightened masters. They're not moved by frustration. They're not moved by you know, us getting frustrated. They'll just sit there in a higher state. And you know, and all that is just a reminder to let go. This is what we're all here for. We're here to totally forget that we already are these enlightened masters, and now it's remembering. And what they're here to do, they've made it clear to me, they're not our saviors. They're here to inspire, and eventually they're reminding us of what our potential is. They're reminding us. It's interesting. I haven't reshared it in a while. One night I was back there, I was just recording, and there was a shot of energy over the tree, and then a being shot straight up and did a loop-de-loop. It's an 8-second encounter. Absolutely mind-blowing.
You've got that on video too?
I've shared it so many times on social media. I think it took place 2 or 3 years ago. There was also another pretty profound encounter. I think it was October. I'm in the backyard on the back porch. I'm recording. All I said was, "Can you power up?" And immediately a UFO appeared and then stopped.
You know, it would be brilliant if you took all your clips and just made like one video of them. So we could just sit here for like an hour, however long.
I've already, it's funny you mentioned that. I've already used up over 200 gigs on my one phone. I got another phone with 650 gigs. Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot.
I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm going to say 99% of encounters I've posted. I haven't posted this one in a while. I had an encounter with what I describe as a flying book. So it was winter, very cold in Canada, just as you know, no bats, no bugs. It was like -10, -15 Celsius. It was well below freezing. And I'm just recording over, like I do often, over the roof of the townhouse. And in 1 second, when you slow down the video, it appears to be a worm approaching, gets larger, wings start manifesting. It was about the size of a small dog. And you see me turn around and it was gone. But in that 1 second encounter, when it dove, it was about 15 feet over me. And when you look at it, it looks like a book. It looks like a book. It gave me actually ancient Egyptian vibes. Some people have said, oh, maybe it's a fairy. It was very neutral. Like, again, nothing negative or anything like that. But
was it large or just
about
like
the size of a small dog? So, it was maybe 4 or 5 feet in diameter by the time it manifested fully, maybe a foot or two in length, maybe 2 feet in length.
Did it have pages?
No, but when you think of let's say when you think of a book, so you have the binding in the middle, that was the body.
That's
the head was forming, and the wings were just like two big like a flapped open book. It was just incredible. But that whole transformation happened in 1 second. So I posted the video on TikTok, and I have screenshot showing this worm-like thing getting bigger, wings starting to form. The head actually started to form like this. So you started to get like antennas. And then, yeah, it's quite, I'm going to say, like, since 2020, it's been a variety of not only UFO phenomena in the backyard, but paranormal.
Can I move next door to you?
Come on down.
Seriously. Oh, Carrie, she's got a lot of things going on, Carrie.
That's incredible.
She's got sightings and connections and all sorts of stuff. She said, here, you can channel them. Just ask Spirit to connect to a being I did last week. And I channeled a Bigfoot female. Wow.
Yeah.
Did you get a picture of that? But I mean, I not that I need to see a picture. I totally believe her, but I just love seeing video footage of them because they're so like stealthy, for big creatures, not to switch topics, but
no,
we're talking about beings shifting in and out of dimension. It's so true because they're stealthy beings. Like they run through the forest for such big animals with a stealth. And then all of a sudden they're gone because, like you said, they're popping in and out of dimension, right?
They're very, I've observed something move that appeared tree-like once, and the way it moved so quickly, it appeared it was skiing across the air. That's how fluid it was. And I have heard stories of just how fluid, like they can just cruise through brush and anything like it's nothing. Yeah.
And like the majority of people that I talk to, whether it's through podcasting or people just in the real world, they all admit that they've either encountered something like the LibraCast says, he's seen so many things. There's definitely something. People feel that way. They know intuitively, even though they haven't maybe witnessed, but they know that we're not the only living entities in this entire galaxy. And science butts heads with what I want to call the paranormal, folks like us that we have these discussions. And instead of joining forces with it and trying to blend the two together, they're just too busy discounting it and saying, it's just a mental, it's the Goldilocks zone.
Yeah.
The earth is in a perfect position. That's why we're the only people here. They always have like an answer for things that I'm sick of, honestly.
I love that you bring this up, and my insight into this is anything that challenges their ego, their status quo, is a threat to them.
Yes.
They can't have it. So when they're so ego invested, anything beyond that is considered a threat, because now it's what I'm being to them. It's nullifying what they think they know. So to those people, and I've encountered them occasionally on Twitter, I just let them be. They're going to find out eventually, whether or not in this life, or maybe the next. But I find trying to convince someone, it's sort of like spinning your wheels. You're not going to get anywhere. So I let them just sort of, I'm like, the sightings are there. Really, my dental background and sort of my documentation in the medical field has sort of trained me. So when I'm back there, I'm sort of just very matter of fact. I'm like, here's the date, here's the time, this is where it's traveling from. And then, anything beyond that, I sense an object's going to power up here, or I just had a power up, or just a few days ago, Triangle powered up over the tree as I looked out in my backyard. Then went lights out. I was still in the house. I went outside. By the time I got bundled up, Triangle was directly overhead of me, powered up, and then did it again for me. And I shared that. So I love how, I'm saying things, there's no proof yet in that sense, but then Triangle responds. And, that's what I really enjoy sharing, because a lot of times I'm seeing these objects, they're really not visible until they really manifest.
Wow. Have you had any face-to-face encounters with ET where like either they teleported you to their ship or anything at all, Jiulio?
I'll share two things. I had one encounter where I was very much awake still, but I felt pressure on me to like really keep me on the bed. And the corner, so the left corner of the foot of my bed, was literally vibrating off the floor. So the bed was trying to be lifted up, and my will, I just shut it down. I'm like, no, this is not happening. You're not going anywhere. And it came right down. That was one encounter with something proximity wise. But 2 or 3 summers ago, I'm in the backyard by myself. And is it the June bugs that light up at night? Is it June bugs?
Yeah. Lightning bugs.
Fireflies. Sorry.
Fireflies, yeah.
Fireflies. Yeah. So I was back there by myself. And if you think of, the movie Predator, where when it's invisible, it appears like water moving through the brush.
Like
so I had a being about 20 feet, literally sort of fly in like Superman. So it came in, went vertical behind the bushes. We had 6-foot bushes. And as it began to descend, all the fireflies started really lighting up. And then one of my neighbors opened the back door, and this thing just shot up and gone. I'm gone. Yeah. But they've come. I've had temporary manifestations 8 to 10 feet away from me, sort of come in and out. They're here, but they're not. Those are very fleeting. All this is they're just sort of preparing me energetically with the proximity.
What do you think they're preparing you for?
Direct contact is inevitable. The 100% direct contact has already taken place within. So even though it appears I'm looking at something, let's say that's half a mile away responding to me, spiritually we're unified. So I'm sharing this field. There's something out there and something here. I'm observing it through oneness. So all of this is within us. So it's that transcendent state where you're beyond the local self. So it's a matter of time, because it's already happened directly within. So whatever's within is usually expressed without.
Right. I don't know. I have this weird feeling that NASA's going to like reach out to you at some point because they did that with Chris
Mm,
Bledsoe. They actually called him in and interviewed him. Your
yeah,
videos are really no different than his.
yeah. It's interesting that you mentioned
They're even
this.
more, I think
It,
they're even more intriguing, honestly.
it's interesting that you mentioned this because yesterday I had this thought come up about NASA. So that sort of
Oh, no
freaks
way.
the synchronicity of you mentioning this. Yeah, that's astounding.
Yeah, I think for some reason that like
Yeah,
as I'm sitting here talking to you, I just heard like a voice tell me that NASA's going to be reaching out to you.
yeah. So we'll
It's
see
really
what happens.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Um, yeah, yeah. So I let the encounters basically speak for themselves, and I would love like if someone from there can even analyze them even deeper.
That's what I'm
What's
talking
taking
about.
place? Yeah,
I think that they're going to get word because I mean, not to diminish Chris
yeah,
Bledsoe in any way, but I think your videos are more. I'm trying to find the right word. Not authentic. They have more feeling and communication with these beings than Chris's. Because
I
Chris
get it.
doesn't, I don't really see any of him where he's talking like power up and that kind of thing.
Yeah,
He'll just say, hey, here's one. And, he kind of like points to them.
yeah.
Yours are mind blowing.
Ye-
Crazy.
Yeah, it's interesting when I was writing Cosmic Contact and I'm engaging with the collective and I'm asking about the Black Triangle and I would ask what's it like traveling in it, and they're describing it as a
Yeah.
teleportation device, and then they hit me with it's not so much an extension of our consciousness as it is yours, Julio. And
Oh,
I
wow.
I didn't even now I don't have words for that. So, but that's what came through. So, yeah, incredible.
Wow. That's mind blowing. I
So
mean,
there,
some of the stuff.
yeah, this is why I say often there's a lot more to us, and this is what we're awakening to. There is
Yeah.
a vastness and a potential within us that wants to be expressed through us, and it's expressed through the surrendered state and through the eternal moment of now.
Oh, so perfectly said. It's expressed through the surrendered state. I love that.
Yeah.
So Herb says, when I ask those strange lights in the sky to come closer, I get animal messages like owls, etc.
Mm.
I think they're all messengers from Mother Gaia. It's all connected.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Even our pets. Our pets are angels. Our dogs. Our
Yes.
cats. They're all. The dog is a reminder of unconditional love. Cats are very
Yes.
intuitive. You'll see cats pick up on things, and freak out even if when they
Oh,
sense
yeah.
things. Oh, they're very. Cats are very interdimensional, multidimensional.
They really are. They see
Oh
things that we can't even dream of seeing.
yeah.
I wanted to ask you because I've been hearing so much about this United Federation. I know it sounds like Star Trek,
The
and
galactic. I
it's like cracks me up.
know.
But a lot of people are talking about, this United Galactic
Yeah.
Federation and all this stuff.
Yeah.
Does this really exist? Is there this Galactic Federation of entities or whatever they call it? Is it real?
Well, here's the important thing. Here's the really important thing. So there are beings that are sort of invested in our awakening and in our shifting consciousness, and that care for us. What's important is regardless of that, so I have an awareness of that. It doesn't take away, we shouldn't let it become a distraction to our own personal evolution. And
Mhm.
again, even engaging with the phenomena. So just like anything else. So for example, like I had mentioned, when I'm washing dishes, I'm washing dishes. When I'm done the dishes, I'm back in the moment wherever I am, whether I'm at the gym weightlifting or sitting, in front of the TV, whatever, but I'm in the moment. Same thing even with the phenomena. When I'm back there, I'm with them for that half hour, 45 minutes, an hour. When I'm done, it's done. It's done. So it's important not to, because there's a lot of sort of stories coming up and there all these messages. The message really is universal. Know thyself, remember who you are. You know, there is a potential within you that can not only have you ascend and rise in consciousness. You know, we always hear of ascension.
Oh, yeah.
All that is ascension up the chakras into the third eye activation and into the crown chakra, which then has you transcend. It's one hand grounded in your humanity and the other one towards universal consciousness. There's the balance. Because if I just sort of spewed these concepts without relating in any way, you're useless. You become useless. So we're human beings. We're spiritual beings having a human experience. So it's important to have that balance. But again, it's so important to reiterate, the ascension process really anchors in when you become keenly aware of the present moment, because our thinking conditioning mind just does this back and forth, past, future. And that's what kept me stuck for many years.
Yeah.
But that was the catalyst to my awakening. And then again, trusting, you take the word trust and even surrender, same thing. Trust, just as we can trust in fear, you know, when we put our trust in fear and we put our trust in worry, you can totally take that energy, shift it, and trust that a way has been made. There's a concept. Trust that a way has been made, whether it's, you know, coming into the full realization of New Earth, because right now we even have governments trying to, you know, take away many rights. There's a lot of upheaval happening, but change never happens individually and collectively without turbulence. So it's a necessary evil, I'll call it, but it's important to do not fear what's taking place in the outer world. Observe it. Don't let it repeat in your consciousness, because that's what creates depression, frustration, anger, worry.
Oh gosh, that's so brilliantly said and so true. Some people just get so wrapped up in the news too, and they're, you know, constantly focusing on all this stuff. But you're right. You need turbulence to make the change, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Why? There's a question that everybody always asks. And it's, if ET has all of this technology, obviously, and all of this consciousness awareness, why don't they just come down, make themselves aware, and help us out? Why don't they help us put a stop to war, a stop to poverty, a stop to... Why can't they just help us do these things out of the gate? Help us do something.
I was hoping you would ask this. So a couple of things. Number one, they already see an enlightened being within us all. So it's our job to remember that. Also, things could not change in our reality until the darkness or the evil exposed itself. Because until you're given a choice and shown something and you say, I'm not going to do that, or I'm not going to comply, or I'm not.
Is that a free will thing?
So it's a free will thing. So you need to choose what you're choosing. The other thing that this is reminding us is circumstances do not matter. What's more important, when they say one person can make a difference, literally. So if all of us just started operating through self-responsibility and saying, no, despite what I'm seeing, I'm setting my intentions on this. I'm already living in a world of peace. I'm already living in a world of joy. I'm already living in a world of abundance. Despite what you're seeing, as you let go of how and when it happens, they're not going to arrive en masse until more people become more heart-centered, but it's going to happen. What would happen is a lot of people would go into shock. A lot of people. That's why, you're seeing it on mainstream news. They're talking about UFOs. They're talking about, so they're trying to get, for I don't like to use the word, but just for people who have no, that haven't done any inner work, let's say, or have no awareness that they really exist, or have denied it. When unfortunately, when you start hearing it on mainstream, people start believing it. So they're not going to.
They're easing us into
it, but these beings know that we chose this. We chose, 3D Earth is very challenging, and we signed up for this. So they've made it clear we're not going to be another distraction, and we're not. And I'm talking about the real phenomena. We're not going to be a distraction, and we're not going to come save you, because they already recognize we're already whole and complete. So it's time for us to it's like our, let's say we'll call them our big brothers and sisters up there. They see us as limitless.
Yeah.
We got to remember that. And it's through your vibrational frequency, your awareness, your realization or oneness with source or God. I'll say this: when I was suffering with intense anxiety and depression for many years, I just wanted a way to end my suffering.
Yeah.
I knew God existed. I just didn't know what peace was. I didn't know what stillness was. But it's very much a dimension within us. You have to awaken to that. So it's doing the inner work. So when you start doing the inner work sort of proactively, you actually start shifting into higher timelines in that sense, because you're now reconnecting with who you truly are. Don't wait for the wake up calls. Start, working. You know what's a big one? Forgiveness. Forgiveness
Oh,
releases
that's
us of the past. It's
huge.
profound. It's profound. It releases us of guilt, which is very low vibrating. And then the other thing, and this is important to mention, our biggest, if you want to say, I don't even like to use the word enemy, but fear. So we've been conditioned to automatically believe in fear, but our free will, see, we don't have free will until we realize this. You have the choice to believe in fear or not to. You have the choice to negate it. You have the choice. So that comes from awareness, realizing that the thinking mind is the dreaming state. It's the dreaming
Yeah.
state, past and future. Your true self is silent. It's still. It's clarity, wisdom, strength, understanding. It is unconditional love. It's all those things and more, but it's awakening to that, becoming aware of that. And again, I can point everyone to the door. It's the now. It's the eternal moment of now. But it's up to each individual to cultivate that awareness. And it's like anything, like weightlifting. The more you do it, stronger you get, the more
Absolutely.
automatic it comes, just like challenging automatic negative thoughts. So a big one that people come to me when they want to get unstuck is they say, I feel stuck. I feel stuck. When we say we're stuck, we're actually stuck at the chakra level. We're actually
Mm,
energetically stuck. So to begin to sort of, usually it's a specific thing, but even just starting with the general affirmation, and you have to say this with a knowing. Belief is good, but a knowing. I'm already moving
yeah.
forward. A way has already been made. That begins to shift you to the experience.
Gosh, that's so true. You amaze me, Julio. I swear I could listen to you for hours because you're so spot on with all of it. You really
Thank
are.
you.
Um, what about the darkness? We've all been inundated with hearing and the uncovering
Yeah,
of the darkness.
yeah, yeah,
Inundated.
yeah,
It's on social media now with the Epstein thing. It's like, and then you have to be careful what you say. You're not
yeah.
allowed to. I mean, the censorship is just off the charts. But we've all been exposed to this darkness, and you said that the darkness has to surface, and it's true. So once it fully is exposed, which I think we're pretty darn close. I
Mm,
mean, they're talking about. I'm trying to be careful with
yeah,
YouTube rules and regulations here.
yeah,
But you guys know what they're talking about online
yeah.
with the pizza and the beef jerky and all that stuff. All right. That's all I'm going to say. So if you've got things like that going on, don't you think that's the darkest that humans can possibly get? The hurting of children. Like, how much darker can we expect?
Uh, I see what you're saying. It's funny that you say humans. I almost want to challenge that, and I don't want to go too much into that because doing what they're doing or have done, there's nothing human about that. It's um, it's
It's
a very
true.
dark force. It's a very dark entity. The
Are these
fact,
Draco
the
reptilians or
fact
something?
that's a great question. From one point of view, yes. So the reason one, it's sort of a double-edged sword. you know as more people awaken, the truth is forced to come to the surface, but also so many light workers are here now. Just by our own presence and beingness, we
Yes.
force things to come to surface. So the insanity of the ego and the madness and the narcissistic nature of the ego and all of this animalisticness has to come to the surface for it to be dissolved. So it's playing itself out. It's like coming to the final sort of throes. It's important to, and takes practice and even strength, but it's important as you're hearing this stuff, don't let it lower you, or if it
Right.
does, release yourself of it, because ultimately that's what they're so desperate. They want to keep our vibrational frequency down. So as all this is unfolding, I'll just give the example, the conscious way
Yeah.
to approach it. So, or anything, I hear it, but I'm not repeating it. And I still set my intentions. I still, right? Because we have to remember too, if something is truly out of our hands, what is the use in sort of really like freaking out over it and reacting? There is that
Exactly.
reaction. There will be that reaction. I understand that, but you can't stay there because they would love that to keep your vibrational frequency down. New Earth is a very inside job. It's a personal evolution. It's important not to get caught up, because I have friends, you know, they've known, they've been around me, they've, you know, for over 20 years, and some of them will still mention, you know, there's going to be a solar flash and this and that. I'm like, again, there's a distraction from outside.
Right.
I said awakening is from within. What happens, if it does happen, great, and if it doesn't, great too. It doesn't matter. Know who you are, come to that awareness. So the as like I said, there's so many, we're a lot more powerful than we realize. I'll put it bluntly, and we're so filled with light that anything dark is again being, you know, forced to the surface. So it's playing itself out, but this is sort of like a purification in a sense, in that sense.
Gosh, that's such a good way to put it.
Yeah.
So they're surviving off the loosh, or so to speak, of
Reaction.
the reaction, the energy, the vibration of us, right?
Yeah.
I mean, but you can't help but when you first witness and hear about how awful
Oh,
the
yeah.
darkness is,
Yeah.
like you said, there is a reaction. You
Yeah.
know, we have this guttural reaction to it, and you
Yeah.
can't help that. But you're saying don't get stuck in that. Just feel it, move past it, and don't give like life force to it. Correct?
And you know what? I am so grateful that you brought all this up, because if you want to express yourself, and I'm gonna give some doozies. So
Go ahead.
as I hear these things, this is how I respond. The wrath of God has already consumed the darkness of this world.
Mm.
And I say it with annoying, like my hair is standing on edge when as I say that. So speak what you want to see happen. God is my justice. Justice is served. But things like the wrath of God has already consumed the darkness of this world. I'm being sarcastic, but I'm like, what is more powerful than that? If the wrath of God literally, all right? So that's sort of the warrior that's within us all, you know, speak words to power and say it with a knowing. So
Yeah,
yeah,
carry
that's a great,
something there.
that's exactly it. So you don't want to, it's a difference between, so having an awareness, like I have an awareness of the ego, the negative thinker, but you don't give it your attention. So
Good.
don't let anything consume you, but rather speak with authority that which you want to see done. Yeah. It's very empowering.
It is. And it's very frustrating too, because, you know, we're sitting here witnessing this evil and we want to be reactive. We want to
Yeah.
stop it. And the only way that we know of is to react with anger at first.
Yeah.
And then you kind of have to let it go through the system and get washed out that way, I guess. I mean, like you said, some things we're powerless over, right, Jiulio?
Um, I don't want to say powerless in that sense, like what's out of our control, what appears, but the shifts happen in the outer world once we take that inner control. It's interesting. I won't get too specific, but when our rights were being taken away, whatever, 4 or 5 years ago,
Yeah.
that's when I began to speak
Yeah.
that I wanted justice, and that's when they showed up.
Wow. It kind of seemed that way. Like
Yeah.
the timeline for you
Yeah.
really seemed that way.
Yeah.
And for many of us, like
Yeah.
it's so bizarre. I know for me, it was just before the jabby jabs came out.
Yeah.
You got to be so careful with it.
You can't. You have to speak in tongue. You know,
You have to.
you have to speak it. So yeah.
It's so ridiculous, but it's true. But it was right before that happened, and all of a sudden, and I'll never forget it ever in my life. I was in the kitchen. My husband, God rest his soul, he was watching TV, and all of a sudden, I got this download. And that's the only word I could use to describe what it was. But it was like a foreshadowing of everything that was to come.
Yeah.
The lockdown, the jabby jab, the whole thing. I can't go into detail for obvious reasons, but I started crying. I didn't know how else to react. And my husband jumped up and he's like, what are you crying for? And all he could do was console me and hug me because it was that powerful. So something shifted in that timeline for all of us.
Huge. It shifted. It was another catalyst. So anything that appears to like shake us can either be a catalyst to propel us forward or to keep us stuck. So within weeks, I remember I was in Toronto every weekend speaking up for like rights and everything, right? And I've seen a lot of friends who joined me, a lot of them ended up getting divorced. You get people that are on two different timelines,
goodness.
some people that want to just do as they're told. And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, there were a lot of places that I was told to leave because I didn't have papers or whatever. I'm like,
oh, of course, I could imagine.
yeah.
And to clarify, you're in Canada, I'm in the States. And although we had very similar effects, I think it was worse for Canadians in many ways.
It was crazy. But like I said, like I'm gonna say though, 9 times out of 10, I managed. If I wanted to go to a restaurant, I went into a restaurant, and it's all how you just sort of appear. There was one time I'm like, well, do you want to make $100? Because I will sit here with my 2 friends if you just let us. Because none of the rules made sense. They never did.
Oh,
I instantly knew when the person who was in charge of our country say, we're not going to get through this until we have a jibbity jib. I instantly knew everything. I got download after download. I was telling people they're not going to stop as long as you comply.
Also, you got the same kind of vibe.
It was, I instantly knew, and I was,
Somebody told us that. I don't know if it was God himself that gave us the message.
The highest self.
Has to be.
Yeah.
Has to be.
That doesn't come from.
No. And I knew it was,
clarity.
I knew as sure as I exist, I was just, and my husband he didn't fully understand. And the funny thing is he got it as I explained it to him down the road. And when he would go to the doctor and they would try to give him the jibbity jib, he would go, oh no, I'm going to wait for one that actually works. And the doctor would look at him perplexed and go, what? Yeah. So like a lot of people, and I'm grateful for that, didn't put themselves through that because I have a big mouth. I have a big mouth and I let everybody know.
God bless you for doing that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But here's a good point. Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure you did as well. And some people just wouldn't listen, unfortunately. And that's sad. But Herb says, I was just looking up some dates and it seemed like a harmonic convergence of the late 80s was his first awakening. That's so weird because I was looking up different timelines of when awakenings hit us. Yeah. And I definitely remember reading that the 80s was one of those times that was very like now. It was
pivotal moments.
Yeah.
Even now, I palpably feel we're already. I know it. We're in a higher dimension. So like I said, listening to the powers that were, and I say the powers that were, they have no power. Right. Just sort of spewing whatever. My inner knowing, for example, like even just if I go personal, I did not come here to fail.
That's so powerful.
So knowing who I am, I've been operating through inner stillness my entire life as a kid, as a child, silent. So I went through some pretty tremendous suffering. All the things that sort of led me to awaken, they were more like, why is this happening? I'd always ask, why is this happening? And it was
Yeah.
to, so we always ask, like, why is this happening? It's to awaken you to shift out of that automatic programming where we sort
Yes.
of self-sabotage ourselves. There's nothing special. This is so important. Nothing special about enlightenment. Enlightenment, there's already an enlightened being within each and every one of us. The question, though, is who is aware of it and who is operating or embodying it. That's what makes a massive difference in your own personal experience. And because things might even appear, I don't want to give it energy, but crazier on the outer world, but more, it may, but it's important to be centered in your being, and again, observe that outer world, not let it, if you have that initial reaction, that's okay, but don't stay there, release it.
That is
Yeah,
everything.
that's a
True.
great question. I wonder the significance of your sightings. Yeah. So um par- yeah, so I yeah, I was calling upon the higher realms. We'll just leave it at that. Yeah.
Yeah. Is there a lot you can't say freely because you just
Uh,
need to keep it close to you, or is
it,
it just not the right timing?
um, I don't think, um, I just let everything sort of speak for itself. I let the teaching speak for itself. I let the sightings, these objects responding to me speak for themselves. Um, I don't want to give a label or anything like that, but I've been blessed and I've experienced miracles that have just left me at times beyond confirmation that there's God, beyond confirmation that we're in the spiritual realm. It's here and now. Heaven is a state of mind. Heaven and hell are states of mind, depending, if you're
Absolutely.
operating through lower chakras and through fear and worry and regret and things like that. But when this is so key so when I've mentioned the surrendered state, that is the most powerful state one can embody, because now your will is aligned with God or sources. So
Mm,
when your will is joined with source, people say, what does God want from me? God wants you to fear not. God
mm.
wants you to embody strength and know who you are relative to God, because we're not separate. Separation is an illusion. The body is 99.9999999% space. The
Mhm.
reality is oneness. So if you realize that there's that potential and that power, that source, that stillness, that unified field that we're always connected to as clarity, wisdom, understanding, discernment, just embody that, begin aligning with that. And again, that present moment is so key.
Gosh, that's
Awareness.
true.
Yeah.
Herb has a statement I want to ask you about too.
Yeah.
Such a great point. He said, I feel like every time I was awoken, I ended up falling back into the mainstream program. Free will can be a pain sometimes, but he thinks he's got it now. Why do we do that? Why do we have these waves of
Oh,
like what he's describing, this push and pull? Is it ego that's doing
he
that? Like what?
that was an awesome question. So what
Yeah,
happens is it's to eventually get to a point where you're just continuously surrendered. So what happens is, we get into these states of like flow, and then we react to something, or we get into a stream of reaction, or let's say you're trying to manifest something and never came to fruition, and now you
right.
start creating unconscious resentment, which is
Yes.
such a dream killer and a killer of joy and happiness. So
Oh, we
with
should write that
manifesting, for
down. We should
example,
write that down.
with
That is so brilliant.
with manifesting especially, or let's say manifesting new earth, get out of the waiting game. It's here and now. Embody joy, trust, faith. All these are like forces. They're not just words. When you embody faith, trust, and people say, well, how do I cultivate faith or trust? I got a really good example. Quickly reflect back on your life when you were, let's say, in a sticky situation, and yet a way was made.
Gosh,
Reflect,
that's so true.
briefly reflect on that. I remember, and I won't go into it because I don't want to give it energy. So years of intense anxiety, and then I had a cancer diagnosis in 2004.
I
I
remember you
wasn't a,
talking about
I
that.
wasn't afraid. You know what I was? I was angry, and I wanted to know. And I remember saying to my sister, who had got me some food that night after my first radiation, someone up there is going to give me answers because I want to know what I did to deserve this. It wasn't that I deserved it. It was that there were more things that I needed to like pound me to wake me up, because what was happening is I was always operating through that stillness. So it took a lot of upheaval to finally have me surrender, have that third eye activation, and have that ego death. So ego death, there's a lot of talk of ego death right now. It's not, we don't have to make it so difficult. Anytime you forgive someone, anytime you let a negative energy go, that's a mini ego death. That's practicing ego death.
Yes.
So whenever you're letting something die energetically, there's an ego death and a negative emotion. Our emotions are signals and messengers. They're not who we are. Our thoughts, when energized, become emotion. So we have a fearful thought, we react, there's your emotion of fear. We're not our thoughts and we're not our negative emotions. We are the stillness or the silent witness experiencing it. There's the massive difference. Identification is everything. So when we automatically identify, we react, and what we do is perpetuate that state.
Yes.
The key is to let things die or let things go. And people say, well, this is very important. We're not suppressing anything. You're giving it a place to die energetically, because your inner being, who we are in stillness, is more than capable of consuming and transmuting that negativity.
So when you talk about things that aren't pleasant, does that damage your spirit in any way? Like, but sometimes you got to say things.
Yeah.
Like, even through these discussions, we have to talk about these things. Does that do any damage to us on a spiritual level, or?
Not in any way, shape, or form, unless you give it the belief.
Gotcha.
People would say to me, or they've asked me, for example, with fluoride, does fluoride hurt the pineal gland?
Yes.
Not at all. I was a dental hygienist for 15 years. I used to give myself fluoride treatment like every 6 months. Nothing can stop consciousness. Nothing can stop what is destined for you. So all of us are being called. There's always that call. Like, we play roles: doctor, baker, lawyer, mother, father. Those are our roles. But our soul purpose, SOUL or SOLE, our soul purpose, why we're here, we came to forget temporarily and then remember who we are in stillness, remember the authentic self, the soul, which is strength, invulnerable, wisdom, clarity. I can't give you those things. It's already in you. All you can do is let those potentials come. Just like the chakras, for example. The chakras have a consciousness of our own. Just as we are expressing ourselves through source, our chakras, our third eye, want to express through us. They have a consciousness of their own. They want to express themselves as clarity, as clear seeing, as unconditional love, as authentic speaking. All of those potentials within us. So really come to know who you are. We've had enough fill of the human thing, and that creates a lot of imbalance when we don't balance it with spiritual nature.
I love this. Miss Shelley says we are transcending, we are transcending.
That's beautiful.
So good.
Because the ego is hypnotic.
It is. So Herb wants to know what toothpaste.
You know what I use? I like Tom's toothpaste, the Spearmint Fresh. As long as I'll say this as the hygienist, as long as you're flossing and brushing, flossing more importantly than anything, you could almost put in writing.
Doesn't matter.
You're going to keep your teeth. Smoking does have a negative effect. I've seen way too many people hurt themselves. So if you
to get to the fluoride thing, because all I ever hear about is that fluoride calcifies your pineal gland. So this is not true.
Not true. Again, if we create a belief about that, we're energetic beings. We manifest things on the moment. It's sort of like, Tom's. It's sort of like anything else. In the book, Your Inner Healer, I talk about, we have phrases that we say, and we sort of say them without thinking much about it. Like, I can't stand the sight of so-and-so, or that person makes my blood boil. Saying it once or twice really ain't going to do anything. Say it every day or,
Oh,
multiple
goodness.
times a week for 30 years, then people wonder why they have, for example, let's say high blood pressure. So
Absolutely.
everything about us is creative. And yeah, like I said, I was giving myself fluoride treatments for years. I didn't stop it. The third eye activated, silenced the ego,
That's
cast it
great to
out.
know.
So
That's a
yeah,
relief. That's a relief big time.
yeah,
You are spot on about the saying things because
yeah.
in the past few years, I always used to go around saying, "Oh, my knee is killing me."
Mhm.
And I'm like, "How could I?" And now when I catch either one of my kids saying it, well, my son
Yeah.
never says that. He's a nurse. He knows better. But
Mm,
like my daughter, I got her to stop saying that because she'll go, "Oh, my shoulder's killing me."
yeah,
And I'm like, "You got to watch your words. Words are spells, and you
yeah.
can cast them
It's true.
onto yourself." It's so
It's
true.
true. Go back to abracadabra. I create as I speak.
Yes.
So when we have, let's say, those aches or pains, for me, what that is just a reminder to be still again, to observe it.
Mm,
Oftentimes, I had a friend who was having heart issues for a while, and the energy would sort of attack his heart chakra. And it got to a
yeah.
point I'm like, you need to sort of just be the space of unconditional
Yes.
love for that. That's how you transmute it. Reaction takes energy. And when we look at someone, we say, what's the matter? You took
Yeah.
energy time and time again, and eventually it becomes matter. There's your dis-ease energy coalescing. So
Oh
yeah,
gosh, that's so true. And again, Herb makes a good point. It
yeah,
is
I
a
agree.
I don't want it in my drinking water either. I don't drink my tap water because
Same.
even though I have filtered, I buy spring water. I just,
Yeah,
it's sad when you have to worry about what water to drink. It's
I
but
did a
you can't
test.
drink well water either. You can't.
Yeah, there's a lot of mineral content, but I remember
Yeah.
years ago I did a test and it was incredibly high. I don't use it. I don't use the tap water at
What?
all.
Bottled
Tap
water?
water, tap water,
Oh,
tap
tap
water.
water. Oh,
Yeah, no way.
yeah, it's not good. Not good. Not good. I don't know. Scary times. I wanted to ask you in the last few minutes we have.
Yeah.
See, now we didn't even get a chance to talk about your third eye book. So you're going to have to come back again.
I'd be
'Cause-
more than happy to.
Are you sure?
I
I
love our conversations.
oh, me
You're
too.
gonna have to talk to Michelle because she has a few booked with me. So
Oh,
we'll figure it
goodness.
out. Don't worry.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. I got to
Yeah,
get you back and I've got a
absolutely.
ton of questions on that book as well.
Yeah.
But this conversation was incredible. It always is speaking with you.
Thank you.
What about the term NPC? We've been seeing that
Yeah.
all over non-player characters. And they're trying to tell us that there are people walking the earth. And to me, I don't fully believe that. I think they're just in a lower state of consciousness
Yeah.
than they're saying that they're soulless entities. That can't be true, right, Jiulio?
That's a great question. What this is, so what this experience is a gift in contrast. So on the other side, everyone is enlightened, everyone is equal in that sense, everyone is aware of everyone's light, and everyone has the same wisdom, clarity, blah, blah, blah. Here we come into a world of relativity, and there's a variety of consciousness and a variety. What this also is, and I should mention this, I guess it's part of disclosure. This is a hub for planet Earth is sort of like a mixture of like everyone and everything. So
Mm,
so so I see what you're saying, and I agree with that. Yeah, the term I don't like to use NPC in that
mm,
sense because I'm sort of labeling. I would be labeling something that ultimately whoever is saying that it's a part of us. We're all one in that sense. So I
right.
would. So I don't want to diminish it. You can observe someone acting or behaving, let's say, sort of like a program or they're programmed in that sense. But yeah, I don't want to because it even goes back to, let's say there are, we'll say, NPCs.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, it is number one, it is what it is, because you hear, I think it was another author, Dolores Cannon, she mentioned it, how
Yes.
there's background players. So you have like, main characters and whatever, but my own perspective is I don't want to diminish anyone or anything. It's all life, and it's just relative. Everything's relative in this reality right now, for now. So there's just different levels of awareness, I'll say.
I love that answer. Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah,
And last question to you
yeah,
is, since we've shifted and we're all in this timeline, many of us don't feel comfortable here, or
Mm,
I'm trying to word it properly, like at home, where like before 2020, I never felt displaced,
mhm,
really. I mean, my husband would always joke and go, "You're not from this planet," but that's a whole
mhm.
different
Yeah,
story. But you know what I'm saying? Like, we don't feel like at home. I'm trying to verbalize something that's difficult.
I
What?
totally, I get what you're saying. No, continue if you want, but I get.
No, no, no. You got it. That's
So what happened in the last 4 or 5 years revealed to us that things are not really the way we thought they were, or that, you know, organizations had our best interests, for example. So it's like the wool being, we're awakening. It's sort of like finding out Santa Claus is not real. And that initial shock, you have
yes.
that initial shock. Um, in terms of the inner, so like the kingdom of heaven is within, and it's that inner dimension. What's happening in the outside world, all it is now a revealing of everything that's false, and it's crumbling. But as that's happening, we have an ascending consciousness coming. So from one point of view, yes, when the master said, I'm in this world but not of it,
Right.
that pertains to many of us, whether we want to use a label like, we're star seeds, we come from the stars or whatever, but really we come from a higher dimensional place, temporarily experiencing this human experience. But yes, what has taken place over the last few years does not feel like home. On the outside world, it feels very sort of, what's the word I want to use? Almost like not volatile, we'll say. So very uncertain.
Yes.
So everything that is uncertain and everything that's going on out there, again, it's just that reminder: go within your certainty, and everything that you're looking
Mm,
for is inside of you. Reconnect with that often. Ultimately, if mastery is just doing it on a breath by breath, just coming back, because anything outside of stillness, I personally find, is very emotional, very energetic, very sort of chaotic in that sense. Coming back to stillness, it's always calm and peace. That's home. That's our true
that's
home.
so spot on.
Yeah. So,
Goodness.
but I totally, I empathize with exactly
Yeah.
with what you're saying. It's not what we thought it was, but really, Earth is our playground. So this just comes back to speaking what you want to see. Know that you're safe. Know that all of life and all of God is for you. That's a big one. When you start
That's a huge
speaking,
one.
when you start speaking, despite what I'm seeing, I know all of God and all of life is for me. That shifts you to a version of you where your things are happening for you, not to you anymore. So now we
Gosh, I
shift out
love
of
that.
we shift out of being, and I've been there. We shift out of being a victim to a
Yeah,
conscious manifester and participant in life. That's what life is calling us to do.
I love that. I'm gonna watch this show over again just to reinforce so much of what you said today. It was so brilliant. So
Thank you.
brilliant. I have a mantra that I say every day, and I'll end with that. I always say whenever I get stressed out or concerned or upset or I feel off kilter, I always say everything is fine in this now moment. The
Mm.
universe always works in my favor.
Ooh,
So
I love that. You know what I love about that? It's all encompassing.
yeah, I felt it was the right thing to say at the
Mm.
time, and I just say it so much throughout the day because I believe
Love
that
it.
to be true. Thank you, Jiulio. Thank you so much. It's always such a joy. I hope I could get you back on the show
Okay,
soon.
okay, wait. I need to say this. You are such a light and you are such a
Oh,
force for good. God bless you and 1,000 blessings. I'm so grateful for our connection. I appreciate it.
oh, I am too. And that you saying that you made my heart flutter. Thank you so much,
You're
Jiulio.
welcome.
That meant the world to me. I will be in touch with you soon.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you, dear friend. God
Thanks.
bless.
God bless.
Bye bye.
Take care. Bye.
Gosh, I feel like a schoolgirl. I just like when I hear him talk, I get so lost in his words. He is one of the wisest people that honestly I could go on. I'll stop. I sound like a ridiculous schoolgirl, but you guys know how you're saying it in the comments too. So thank you all so much for tuning in. And again, you've been listening to Ethereal Encounters Unveiled, live on United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network. Thank you so much to them. Without them, we wouldn't be here today, serving this huge platform of listeners, to which we're also grateful. And thank you, Jiulio. You are a gift to humanity. That's the best words that I could say right now. Thank you so much. You have so many beautiful comments, Jiulio, coming through. Thank you all. We love you guys so much in the chat. We love hearing from you. We love seeing you here. It's a blessing. And don't forget to tune in tomorrow, 3:00. I have another member of the United Public Radio Network with us tomorrow, and I'm so excited about that. I have Bart Sharp coming on, and we're going to talk about mystical France. It's going to be a mind-blowing show. It's going to be live too, of course. Thank you all. God bless. See you tomorrow. Take care.